Well, I think there's a couple of things that are going on in the AppCompat space. I think, first of all, we're kind of getting out of the early adopter phase for Windows 7, and we're moving more into the mainstream. So we have a lot of different challenges when it comes to the mainstream folks who may not be aggressive about adopting new technologies and are looking to really leverage a lot of the learning that we've built from those early adopters and how do they approach the process better. The new thing that came up is IE9 is kind of changing the game, whereas now it's no longer just here's the whole package, but you have the option, and with IE9 you have this whole new world of HTML5 that's going to potentially impact your platform decisions, into the coming years. It depends on where you're coming from. So what we're seeing, and the experience we've had so far, we ran a TAP program with enterprise customers, and we saw that the compatibility characteristics from 8 to 9 were extremely good. And we were able to leverage the compatibility infrastructure for all but a very few, very small number of issues. And so for someone who's moving from IE8 to IE9, it's a very straightforward, relatively low risk migration. Coming from IE6, there's no new special sauce. So if you're still on IE6, you really do have the choice. Do I want to go to 8? Do I want to go to 9? And if you haven't begun yet, it may make sense for a lot of people to just leapfrog straight to IE9 and do the migration that way. I think it'll be very similar to those who are coming IE8, where we have a lot of knowledge, already existing on how to make that smoother or less smooth. Right? And that's what we've been trying to do, is to take the general fear that's out there and try to inject a lot of data and a lot of facts about what's known, what do you not know, how do we begin to assess my risk early on and invest appropriately, as well as what are the steps that I can do to simplify it for myself, because it's possible to make it really hard and really expensive. It's also possible to make it a lot easier. It's never completely straightforward. There's always work involved, and I can certainly leverage the tools that we are, starting to finally mature to help make that easier and faster. Well, it's certainly something that we're looking at anytime we're talking about application compatibility, is not just, can I do this one point in time migration? The way I always like to capture it is, what I don't want to have happen is I don't want to have a $10 million bolt cutter to unlock your handcuffs from XP and IE6, and then have you walk straight up and then handcuff yourself straight away to Windows 7 and IE8. We haven't grown anymore as an organization that way. So when we think about, here's this software that's been around for 10 years, if I'm doing any kind of an update, I'm looking at building software to last me to 2021. That's 10 years from now. And at that point, utility computing, plug in and have compute live on the wire, the cloud, that kind of design becomes extremely important when you look at what the timeframes are going to be. I haven't really seen anyone sort of doing a general purpose assessment for cloud, but it's something that we're always looking at architecturally to help our customers, regain their agility, be able to transition platforms, and leverage a lot sooner than they've been able to lately the new innovations that have been coming out in technology. When you talk about the virtualization platforms, they're all very, very different. So if you're talking about application virtualization, obviously what I know best is AppV because I work there. I mean, you're kind of asking me, Mr. Microsoft, which virtualization platform do you like? I like the Microsoft one. That should probably come as a surprise to no one. But what we're finding is that we have a lot better ways to determine compatibility with this virtualization, and we have a fantastic value prop that we're able to quantify gains and benefits of moving to that as a deployment technology. Once we understand the compatibility characteristics, more and more software is able to be deployed using that pattern, and people are getting better at it, and that's a very rapidly maturing area where I think the tool space has just exploded in terms of the quality of information that's coming out in order to help you get there quicker. So in the coming year, well, right now we're kind of rounding the corner between the early adopters who are just sort of rounding out and finishing up and approaching the finish line there, and the second wave of folks, the folks who are less technically savvy, less aggressive in their deployments, are the ones who are starting now to do that. So we're looking at, how do we help the larger percentages of people who may not be as aggressive when it comes to approaching their process, and how do we take all of the learning that we've had from those early adopters and drive it into those enterprises to help them to be a lot more effective. I think the other major thing that just released a couple weeks ago was IE9. And so we see a lot of people who are evaluating their whole app platform and looking at not just Windows 7 and IE8, but also looking at how IE9 fits into their long-term strategy and working it that way. I hope there isn't a new one. My guess is it's going to continue to be, how do I get off of XP and IE6?